Okay, this is the second video for the Excel practice test. This is the second Excel test and the second video for the practice test for it. And we've already done the dates, we've already done the financial functions, and now we're going to do what's left here. So we have some database stuff to do here. And the first thing is use an advanced filter to determine which stocks in the S or H category have a total current value. That would be this right here, total current value of 10,000 or more. Okay, so the category has to be S or H. So, and or means they go on separate rows. And the value is greater than or equal to 10,000, and down here greater than or equal to 10,000. And if we apply that filter, let's put the cursor down here in the data, and then let's go to our data tab, and let's do an advanced filter, and it will recognize the data range or the list range, and then we want to tell it that this is where the criteria range is. And let's click on OK. And it tells us that we have 12 records. And if you look here, they're all S or H. If you look in this column, they're all 10,000 or more. Okay. Now I want to put a formula to determine how many companies meet the criteria above. So we can use this criteria, but we have to use a D function. So if we want to count the number of companies, we can count any column. If we use count A, if we use count, we have to use one of the number columns that would eliminate A and B. So I'm going to do count A. And I'm sorry, decount A. Now let's do it through the formulas, and these are not in a book, so we need to go here and choose database, and I want decount A, and the database is from here down to here. And the field I want to count is column 1, and the criteria is up here, and we can hit enter. And we had 12 before, we should get 12 this time. I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to clear let's go back to the data tab here, and I'm going to clear the filter. And the reason for doing that is when I select my data, I want to make sure I get everything. And when the filter's on, I may not be getting everything. Another thing I could do here is I could just also name this range here. And I think I'll do that. We'll just call this data. And hit enter. And so now data refers to my table. I've got some totals down there at the bottom, but they don't really apply in this situation. So now if I go here, and double click on this, I can actually change this to data and enter. And apparently I must have already named this criteria, and I did, because when you select it, if it's got a name, it will show up here in the name box. Okay. Now I want to know how many shares, so I want to sum these numbers here. So we're going to do an advanced filter again. I'm sorry, we're doing the advanced filter. We're going to do a sum. I want to add all these up, so it's going to be D sum. So let's go to our formulas tab, go to insert function, and scroll down to D sum and click on OK. And the name of my database is just data, and I'm summing column 3, the number of shares. And the criteria is going to be this range right here, and I can click on OK. And it's adding up all of those numbers there. We can double check that in a minute or two here. And then I want to know which is the highest total current value, column G. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Column 7. And I want to do a max, but in this case it's D max. So let's go and choose it. And the database is data. And I spelled that wrong. Got an extra keystroke in there. Data. And it put quotation marks around it, so it's still wrong. Let's try it one more time. So DATA, and you know it's right when all the stuff appears over here. And the column I want is the 7th column, column G. And my criteria is the range that I've already named criteria, so I can just put that in, I think. it did not like that. Let me go back here and click on the FX if I want to go back. And okay, so it didn't like criteria, so I must have done something wrong. I thought I'd given that. Looked like the name criteria was showing up when I was doing that before. So let me just drag my mouse over this stuff, and it is criteria. Click on OK. And it is telling me that the maximum, I'm not sure where that little red error message was coming up there. Let's take a look. Let's put the cursor in here. We'll go back and we'll kind of check this by hand here and see if we're doing it right. So let's click on advanced, and I want this. And then for my range, I want this, my criteria range. And then I'm going to click on OK. Okay, gives me 12 rows here, which you can see down here. And if I drag my mouse over the shares here and look in the lower right hand corner, it should tell me the sum of those is 12,950. So that number is correct. And then if I go look at these numbers here and I'm looking for the biggest number is 66,188. It's coming up with 66,187.5, but that's because these values here aren't displaying any decimal places. So this must actually be 66,187.50. And if I click on it, you can go up here and you can see that that's really what it is. So I'm not sure why that little error message was briefly coming up there in red, but everything is working correctly. So that takes care of our database. Now let's go and do a lookup, and the lookup function that we have is the VLOOKUP. So in G4 here, I want to put a formula that will look up the cost of the item listed in G2. Okay, so that's going to be a VLOOKUP. So let's go and do lookup and reference, and VLOOKUP is the last one on the list. The thing I want to look up is this, and the table I want to find it in is this. You don't include the headings when you're doing this. I'm sorry, I didn't tab down into the next box. The lookup value is G2. Tab or click down in the table array box, and then click and drag your mouse over those cells. And the column that I want is the cost. That is column 1, 2, 3. So put a 3 in there, and because we're not doing a number lookup, we're doing text, you really should put false in here because you want to do an exact lookup. And hit enter, and it should tell me the cost of a stroller is $145.67, and these two numbers are exactly the same. Then I want a formula that will look up the markup of the item listed in G2. Okay, that's another VLOOKUP, so let's go to our lookup and reference, choose the last one, and the lookup value again is G2. The table array is the same table without the column headings, and the index number is which column is the markup, and that's column 4 in my table, 1, 2, 3, 4. So put a 4 in there, and again, since we're looking up words, actually it will not work because the words are not in alphabetical order. It'll work for stroller because that's the first item on the list. I'm going to leave that out of there for a second, and it works for stroller, so it is not working for stroller. I'm getting 0.35 instead of, why am I getting 30% here and 0.35 over here? It must be looking up this number here for some reason, and I'm really not sure why. But I'll bet it has a lot to do with the fact that I didn't put false in there for the last argument. Okay, let's put false in, and now we get 0.3, which is 30%. So if I reformat this as a percent, then I'm finding it. Okay, and if I put something else in here, like aspirator, and as long as I spell it correctly, I should get these two numbers being looked up for me as well. Okay, and then the last thing on the practice test is some 3D stuff. And so we got some coffee sales for 2015, we've got some coffee sales for 2016, and we want to summarize those over here. So I want a formula in D3 to D6, all of these cells here, that will compute the totals by adding the corresponding cells on these two sheets. So I want B3 on this one and this one to be added up, and I want the answer to put here. So let's go look at what our answer is supposed to be. We got 45,000 here, and we've got 50,000 here, so we should get 95,000 when we do our formula. So doing equals, and then go over here and click on this, and you'll see it says the name of the sheet and then B3. And then we got to do a plus. So I want to add them together, then go click on 2016, click on this, and check out your formula up here. It's 2015 coffee B3 plus 2016 coffee B3. Do not go back and click on the coffee summary down here before you hit enter. So hit enter to complete the formula, and now we get 95,000, which is what we wanted. And then if we drag that down and if we drag it across, we see that because we use relative cell references, they get changed. So when I'm over here in column D, row 6, it is changed into a D6 for both of my terms. And that is the end of the practice test for Excel test number 2. This is video number 2.